Welcome to Intuitive Astrology with Molly McCord. Thank you so much for joining me today as we discuss the astrological energies of May 6th until May 13th, where this week is astrologically calmer as we move through Taurus season and experience some lovely sextiles over this next week. There are fewer transiting aspects unfolding, which means there is less cosmic energy interacting. And so you might feel you have more time to settle, calm, and observe whatever you're moving through, especially since we had that very dynamic Scorpio Full Moon on May 1st. I did a separate podcast episode for you back on April 27th, a Monday episode discussing the major astrology of May. And so as we move into this month, we are going to have many more deep instinctual messages that come to the surface. And I feel that those are certainly happening right now as Pluto is stationing retrograde at 5 degrees, 30 minutes of Aquarius on May 6th, exact at 11:34 a.m. Eastern Time. When Pluto stations retrograde, the energy is deep, unspoken, intense, and potentially highly prolific, especially in Aquarius. This Pluto retrograde will last until the middle of October, specifically October 16th, as Pluto moves back to 3 degrees, 4 minutes of Aquarius. So keep in mind that this Pluto retrograde is a slow-moving internal excavation, and that this is going to be more of a deep dive into 5, 4, and 3 degrees of Aquarius, since Pluto doesn't cover a lot of territory in general in an annual calendar year, and then moves very slow here during this particular retrograde phase, which brings a deeper intensity to what Pluto is stirring up and asking us to access for our own evolutionary growth. So I want to discuss a few themes here of this particular Pluto retrograde in Aquarius that's beginning this week, because Pluto energy always seeks to get to the deeper hidden truth, to work at profound levels that change us at an individual level in a permanent way. Now, Pluto in Aquarius, of course, is working with the collective energy field, as well as systems, communities, groups, social identities, power structures within media, within technology and social media platforms, hidden agendas that exist in communities, groups, and ideologies. Aquarius is a visionary that is fixed air. It gives you something to focus on above the mundane. Aquarius is about the bigger visions of your life, the direction you're going, and wants you to lift your consciousness and your eyesight up above the horizon to see new potentials. But Pluto here is asking you to be very honest and truthful around what future are you actually aligned with. Are you living someone else's version of success or happiness? Are you looking to blend in or merge with others in order to fit into a society, a group, a meeting, an environment? In other words, are you holding back your own authenticity and your own unique sovereign self in some capacity to align with anything that you thought you had to be in the world or that you thought you had to be connected to? And so Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is going to bring up anything that truly is not you at a core frequency level. This is the discomfort as well as the awakening energy. This is the realization that I can't be in this environment anymore, or I don't want to hang out with these people anymore. I don't think this is the space or environment I want to show up in anymore. There's an understanding here of what is complete. And that Pluto retrograde asks you to dig deeper into what exists within you that is ready to be expressed and acknowledged in a new empowered way. So at a more precise level, this could be where you've given your power away to group think or to notions of belonging, where you've conformed in some way instead of standing in your truth or speaking honestly what you're thinking and needing. This could also signal where your individuality is ready to break free and to stand on your own. And that's part of the Aquarius journey, is that you are searching and seeking to find yourself within a collective space, maybe a team environment, a network, a group, other people that you have similar passions with. And then you start to see what is different and what is not aligned. And this can show up as a fracturing of the energy, a splitting away of something that isn't true for you, even the willingness to make a new choice. Pluto does so powerfully, though, and you feel it at a deep gut core level. And we often get very strong messages from Pluto around what is energetically correct for us and what is not. And there's always the notion here that there's no turning back. There's no going back, especially if you are moving through an intense Pluto transit. It changes you and your life deeply and permanently. So at an individual level, this Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is going to bring up our shadow work and fears around rejection, belonging, fitting in, group dynamics. It's going to show us some of the worst energies within those connections and communities. Pluto in Aquarius is faster moving. You feel and sense a truth right away. You understand more of a situation or an environment at a faster rate. And it's because it's speaking to us through those higher Aquarian frequencies that give us a new understanding and awareness that was previously out of reach. Now it arrives and you start to see things from a whole new level, a higher perspective, and possibly with a much clearer vision. Because even though Pluto requires us to dig in and be uncomfortable, to go into what needs to be healed and where that shadow work is requiring our attention, once the Pluto intensity has been addressed and moved through, then the sky's clear. And it's almost like you see things in a whole new way because of how deeply the core frequency has changed. So we're going to have some new understandings here around not only who you came here to be in an authentic, true way, but many people are going to be awakening to their unique role in the future. Meaning you could be coming into deeper connection with more of your gifts and abilities that you're realizing this is what I want to do professionally, or this is something that matters to me and it is going to inform and influence how I live my life. There's going to be more personal changes and shifts around the future you are actually aligned with that is not about anybody else's version of your path. We're each going to sense the truth we are here to embody, even if it's wild, bizarre, and unconventional. And that's part of what is expanding us at a personal level and awakening us to, again, more of what you're here to contribute an experience that's uniquely you in this lifetime. Pluto brings up the fears around what has happened in previous lifetimes and timelines around these same gifts and skills. It can certainly trigger where you have been targeted, persecuted, rejected, wounded, ostracized from a group. It brings up the collective wounding around group dynamics and what that means in terms of what you're healing at a personal level and what really matters to you in this life. In other words, you may find that during this Pluto retrograde, you come into deeper connection with a new dream, a new value in your life, something that newly inspires you, that you're ready to create and powerfully experience. And so what I'm seeing as I say all this are some old energetic cords that are attached to some type of safety, almost like that sure bet or a safety roll, even something that is keeping you tethered to tradition that you've determined this is what I'll always go back to, or this is what I always have in my back pocket if I need to access it. There's something about energetic cords that could be present here that are actually keeping you stuck, connected to a previous cycle that you're meant to fully release yourself from. This could also be about detaching from any false identities you've adopted or have thought you needed to be in order to fit in or belong. And all of this is connected to the journey of greater self-authenticity. And so just stay mindful, perhaps, of what's coming through, that you're going to feel it first. And that's the one way that Pluto works, is that it can be an intense feeling, sort of like that surge of power, or a really deep discomfort, a sense that something is off, this doesn't feel right. The Plutonic forces speak to us energetically, and with the intensity that comes through, we feel it before we fully understand it. But Pluto retrograde in Aquarius is then going to bring in the lightning quick understandings of what the real message is. And so all of that can be strong this week, since Pluto is stationing retrograde on May 6th, and we are feeling the effects of this energy in the collective frequencies. Now, as we head towards the weekend and into next week, we do have a few lovely sextiles that are going to be supportive in grounding us and allowing us to stabilize our priorities, as well as connect to what gives us life, what is joyful and harmonious, what feels good. And also I feel that there's going to be something here that reveals how much you have healed and moved through, especially since late 2025. So on May 10th, the Sun in Taurus sextiles Jupiter in Cancer at 20 degrees. And then 2 days later, Mercury in Taurus sextiles Jupiter in Cancer at 20 degrees. And then on May 14th, Mercury and the Sun are conjunct at 22 degrees of Taurus. So essentially, the energies here are working with Sun in Taurus, Mercury in Taurus, both sextiling Jupiter in Cancer. And this brings about strong, clear, peaceful energies that may provide answers to what you were moving through in late 2025. Now, why is that? Because back in November, December, even into January of this year, that Jupiter in Cancer was in an ongoing square to Chiron in Aries, stirring up something personal that felt more wounding, sensitive, emotional, and unclear. Since then, we have had a Jupiter retrograde journey. Now Jupiter is direct in Cancer again, direct since early March. And here comes the strong, calming presence of the Sun and Mercury in Taurus, showing you in a physical, tangible way who you are now that is deeply rooted in new levels of self-acceptance, self-worth, and self-value. And there could literally be messages around that with Mercury in Taurus. There could also be a feel-good experience or development that arises next week that validates what you have shifted and moved through. That's because of how this Jupiter in Cancer has been holding your emotional body and providing space and room for you to move through and experience whatever's been going on in your internal world. That's because Jupiter is the biggest planet in our solar system, and Jupiter is about the growth and wisdom we acquire through learned experiences. Jupiter is exalted in Cancer and really brings us into our heart space, asks us to go deeper into what we feel, what you need, what is important for you. It's a very loving, kind energy that is receptive and caring. and also can be highly sensitive, acutely aware of the environments. Jupiter in Cancer is where you're picking up on all the undercurrents that are unspoken. You're sensing what feels good and want to gravitate towards that energy. In fact, I think that this Jupiter in Cancer is actually providing a beautiful time to improve or renovate any of your personal spaces, whether that is your bedroom, your home, your office, your car, or all the above. Jupiter in Cancer wants you to feel good in the spaces and environments you're in regularly. And this is also how we're able to consciously work with our emotional selves, where there's a reminder that you're safe here, you are taken care of, you can trust yourself, you can also relax and exhale into where you're at without needing to force anything or make it happen. That's all part of the energy signature here of both the Sun and Mercury in Taurus, sextiling Jupiter in Cancer at 20 degrees. It brings in that peaceful, easy feeling that the eagles sing about, and it beautifully supports calming and regulating your nervous system into a deeper place of trust, balance, and soothing frequencies. In other words, this could be a week when you have a beat or a moment to yourself to really tune in to the energy you're holding, what you're feeling, what you're carrying. Allow yourself to deeply exhale, and there could be some awesome messages, gifts, and developments from the universe, validating you and affirming that you are taken care of, you are seen, you are cherished, you are loved. This can also be wonderful energy for simply flowing with the day and moving with whatever creative desires move through you. There could be a sense here that you're simply seeking more peace frequencies in your everyday life and immediate environments. The Taurus energy is practical, simple, grounded, and clear. And as the two planets interact with this Jupiter in Cancer, I just feel this uplifting energy that validates what you've been through, what you've healed, what you have trusted in yourself, and that it's okay to simply enjoy the present moment, to enjoy the beauty and sweetness of life. There could also be messages of simplifying and removing anything that's too heavy, burdensome, or complicated. And at a more personal level, you would want to look in your astrology chart at where you have 20 degrees of Taurus and 20 degrees of Cancer, as these two houses are connected during these sextiles, and they are bringing about positive, easy developments for you. And this is where things can just sync up and connect without any force and without much effort. A sextile is actually connected to the same energetic signature as Venus. And so you think of it as their best friends. And so when there's a sextile between the Sun and Mercury and Taurus with this Jupiter in Cancer, there's a sense of things coming together, showing up, easily aligning, and enjoying the strengths of each planet and each energy. Then on May 14th, the Sun and Mercury are conjunct at 22 degrees of Taurus. This is a great day for clear thinking, important decision making, practical choices. This is where you want to take stock and inventory of what is, assessing what can be counted on, what's reliable, and what is worth investing in, whether that is an idea or choice you're making or just something you're looking to figure out. Mercury conjunct the Sun in Taurus will give you a clear-cut plan to follow. This is determined energy. It can be very stubborn in Taurus, but it's determined and persistent. And so anything you start around this time is ready to go the distance. And you'll be seeking that final result or final reward, as that Taurus energy does love a good incentive, whether it is financial or a box of chocolates. There is something here that there can be a good payoff with whatever the Taurus energy focuses on and makes it happen. The Mercury-Sun conjunction is also a reset that occurs after every retrograde journey. And so Mercury was retrograde, if you'll recall, back in late February into March, specifically February 25th until March 20th. March 20th is when Mercury stationed direct at 8 degrees of Pisces and has been moving forward ever since then, traveling behind the sun. Now the conjunction is when they newly align. There is that new start that happens that brings about the new information, new details, new plans, new potentials that are ready to blossom and bloom in Taurus. And this also means that now Mercury is going to move ahead of the sun, moving into new territory before the sun can get there. So the messenger planet is now going to be newly fortified for those new endeavors and new initiatives that come from this conjunction to the sun, and will continue to advance into new astrological territory before the sun gets there until we have our next Mercury retrograde, which begins the end of June. That will be June 20th at 26 degrees of Cancer. So now the messenger planet is advancing into new territory to gather more stories and inspirations, as well as seek out what is important to know and understand. And this is the typical cycle with Mercury and the sun, as Mercury never travels more than 28 degrees away from the sun. Mercury has that maximum elongation range of up to 28 degrees, and Venus's is larger because Venus can travel about 47 to 48 degrees beyond the sun's reach. But both of those planets, Mercury and Venus, are essentially always tethered to the sun and always traveling within a predictable range from the sun. When Mercury and the sun are conjunct, this is when things can come together. They line up, they connect, and again, it can be more effortless and seamless. So that will be happening on May 14th at 22 degrees of Taurus. And I wanted to include that in today's podcast just to help with any planning or things that might be showing up for you. They will be solid and clear with that Mercury conjunct the sun. And both planets will still be within range of a sextile to Jupiter in Cancer. So overall, these energies are wonderful for what you're feeling ready to develop and build. Taurus season that we're in right now is the time of the builder. It's where you invest in foundational, important energies in your life that you can practically work with and prosper from. This could be the beginning of new abundance, a new sense of potential and possibility around what you want next in your life, especially when we take all of this and apply it to the ongoing Aries energies that are bringing in the new starts, ushering us forward, moving things right ahead. And now these Taurus energies make it real and clear in how to work with that. What needs to be done, what needs to be purchased or bought, where you have to basically get the work done in order to make things real. We still have Mars in his home sign of Aries, approaching a conjunction to Chiron, also in Aries, but in new territory now at 28 degrees. And the conjunction here between Mars and Chiron, which will be exact on May 16th, which is the same date as the Taurus new moon. This means that Mars has to acknowledge an injury, crisis, wound, or insecurity that affects his speed, confidence, and development. And so there's something here that could feel like that Mars is acknowledging what he has been healing. And I'm saying it in that way because this is at 28 degrees of Aries, the end of Aries. And for the past every 2 years, Mars has been conjunct Chiron. So there has been something you've had to work through, maybe at a physical level. And every 2 years, Mars is conjunct this Chiron in Aries and brings it to your attention at a more personal level of what you have been needing to slow down and responsibly manage in order to not injure yourself again, to not trigger the wound, to wisely adapt to what has been sensitive or previously hurt, and to ensure you don't create more pain with this Mars conjunct Chiron. I'm getting the visual of a speed bump where Mars wants to go fast, wants to accelerate, especially here in Aries, but here comes a speed bump that requires you to hit the brakes, slow it down, be mindful, don't be reckless or restless or too impulsive, and honor that the slowdown of Mars conjunct Chiron is coming from a place of wisdom and lessons learned. So this could be a time period here when you are feeling a slowdown, especially in your desires or passions and what you're moving towards, because you're checking in with yourself on what you've been through before. And there might be a subtle fear that you don't want to repeat a pattern. You don't want to open up new wounds. You don't want something to be exposed or raw because of what it then newly reopens that you thought you had moved through and healed. So what I'm feeling here is that this is just also a week to stay mindful of any previous injuries. And I mean that literally, since Aries is the physical body. Any accidents you've had, broken bones, anything that's affected your physical self, just stay mindful that you don't move too fast and have a re-injury occur. But also I think that this Mars conjunct Chiron is going to validate how far you've come and what you have healed every 2 years that's going to look and feel different at this time. I'll be discussing this even more in next Wednesday's show, but I was just seeing this upcoming exact conjunction and I wanted to mention it now so that you are ready for the speed bumps, you're able to prepare for a slowdown, and you're also able to tap into the wisdom of Chiron's medicine and Chiron's desire to strengthen you after that initial wound. So chances are this has been something ongoing that you've already been healing and actively working through. Mars now brings your active present consciousness to that issue or topic. And Mars is being guided to slow down, become more intentional and present in the moment as well as within your body, and to essentially allow Chiron's medicine to be felt, integrated, and embodied more deeply. So again, I'll discuss this more next Wednesday, but in case there's anything that comes up for you in the week ahead, this might be useful to note that it is about slowing down and approaching that speed bump responsibly, and to know that the exact conjunction is occurring on the same day as the Taurus new moon. We will also be discussing that more next week. I have a video for you on YouTube right now going through the chart of the Taurus new moon. So please check that out as it's occurring at 26 degrees of Taurus in your chart. I also wanted to give you an update on the Crystal Pyramid Experience astrology workshops that have been ongoing since the middle of April. I have been to Austin and Ojai, California, to 3 sold out events with amazing people. It is so wonderful to meet you, to connect, to hear your stories, to hear more about your astrology, and just, of course, to share the space and co-create together at these exact locations. Over this past weekend, we had workshops on Saturday and Sunday at the Sane Living Center, and I wanted to give them a shout out because it's a beautiful venue space, and they took such great care of us. Carol, who runs the Sane Living Center, was so helpful, accommodating, solution-oriented. It was wonderful working with her for both days. And I wanted to mention this venue in case you are in Southern California or you're seeking a place to host your event. The Sane Living Center is beautiful, a really lovely space, and Ojai is such a charming little town that takes you out of the modern hustle and bustle of our lives and brings you into a very peaceful bohemian atmosphere. I just loved it there. So I wanted to recommend the Sane, that's SANE Living Center, if you're looking for a place to bring your workshops, teachings, or to host an event. You can even check out their online calendar for scheduling and to see what's available. But I also wanted to touch on the energies in Austin and the energies in Ojai, specifically why I wanted to have the Crystal Pyramid Experience events there. So Austin is located at the 300-degree north latitude, which is also where other ancient sacred sites are on the planet, including the Great Pyramids of Giza, the autonomous region of Tibet, and an ancient ceremonial capital called Persepolis from the Persian Empire. This latitude band is important in the ley lines on the planet. And more specifically in Austin, there is a convergence between old Earth and new Earth energies. And it's very evident as the old Earth energies of the land are being imprinted with new Earth energies in creative expansion, future building, innovation, technology, all of the liveliness and new energies that are very alive in Austin. The land here is also important because there is a lot of limestone and quartz-rich formations in this area of Texas. So intentionally working with these crystalline structures basically amplifies those energetic frequencies and is a bit like plugging into a natural crystalline circuit. So those are a few reasons why Austin is special and different. Then in Ojai, a very different energetic experience, as Ojai is in a valley surrounded by mountains. And it feels like it's this geographical container of heart-based energy. So the land holds space for energy work, especially anything that is heart-centered. And that actually comes to life literally because Ojai is known for what's called its pink moment, when the mountains glow with a radiant rose gold at sunset. So as the sun is setting, a beautiful pink energy washes over the valley, and that certainly lights up any heart-centered frequencies, brings in warmth, calm, and beauty. And so you have this beautiful dynamic dance with the solar light setting into the earth, softening resistance, opening up more receptivity and greater allowing of a process and an experience. And so Ojai is actually this really beautiful space that quiets the mind, that allows for release and can even be an opening into more of what your intuition wants you to receive and hold. And so it was a beautiful place to gather outside of the energy of Los Angeles or Santa Barbara. Ojai is located in the mountains between the two, and it has a softer, welcoming influence. And quite literally, that's what the town feels like, because the town is so charming with its shops, restaurants, stores, and spaces. And so it just felt like a beautiful place to gather, to meet, and to experience this next level astrology information together. So I love connecting with you, and I'm so happy to travel to where you are and be in these shared spaces together. I love hearing your stories about your journey and astrology and what you've been learning. So also just thank you to those of you who are able to attend the Crystal Pyramid experience. We have 5 more cities to go over the next few months, including Portland, Oregon at the end of May, Boston, Massachusetts on June 14th, Orlando, Florida on June 20th, Charlotte, North Carolina on June 28th, and then Seattle, Washington on July 12th. Some of these venues are almost full or there's limited tickets left. So just a heads up in case you would like to attend and be there for this experience. I hope you can make it. And of course, I look forward to saying hello to as many of you as I can. In fact, I'm the one who opens the doors for each of the venues. Like we have the doors opening at 10 a.m. and I open the doors. So it's not as if I'm hiding in the back. It's the opposite. I'm probably the first one you're going to see. Now, if you mistake me for a valet and you hand me your car keys, I'm not going to give them back. So thank you for the new vehicle. Thank you so much. I appreciate your generosity. No, but seriously, I am very present, hands-on, available. And that's because one of my main intentions is to connect with you and to meet you. So if you can join us at one of the Crystal Pyramid experiences, be sure and get your tickets soon before they sell out. And we are planning for our next phase of the tour, looking at other locations and destinations to go to. So I also want to say thank you to those of you who have submitted your request for where you would like this experience to show up in your town. So wishing you a beautiful journey here through Taurus season. As always, I'll be back next Monday and Wednesday for a new podcast episode for you. And do be sure to check out my YouTube channel where I have more videos for you uploaded there every week discussing more of the astrology of right now. Have a beautiful day ahead, and I look forward to connecting with you again soon.